Hi everyone, I'm Julie, French Product Manager for Boutinot International, and today I'm going to introduce you to Les Oliviers range, which is one of our best southern French wine range. When our winemakers, Samantha and Guillaume, were traveling in the south of France, trying to look for different and exciting wines, it wasn't really uncommon to see olive trees just by the vineyards. Olive trees thrive in exactly the same climate as the vines in the south of France, which is extremely sunny and dry climate. They are actually plant companions, both of them, which means olive trees sometimes can shelter the vines from the harsh wind that you can find in the south of France. The Olivier range primarily focuses on IGP region, at the exception of the Chardonnay, but I will go through a bit more details later on. IGP is quite a large area to be producing wine. But there is a reason why it represents 60% of the whole production of the French wine, and it's also the second biggest rosé producer. The reason behind it is because it has actually amazing natural features. So you've got loads of sun, you've got the catharsis that gives a cooling effect to these crazy temperatures that you can get in the south of France, and on top of that, you've got 4 different types of winds. All these features come together in harmony to deliver amazing, fruity and concentrated wines. So when you will taste the range, you will see that there is this amazing character that comes through with all the wines. It's just every grape varieties with a twist. Something amazing with this range is, I always call it the foodie range, because I do think these wines will make your food taste better. So when you go through the tasting with your little box here, you will see that basically all the wines have an amazing affinity with food. So without further ado, let's start with the tasting. We are starting with the Sauvignon Blanc Vermentino, so 80% Sauvignon, 20% Vermentino. We do harvest late August to early September. Cool temperature, so early in the morning to retain all the freshness from the wine. We do a gentle press just to extract that fruitiness from the wine, and we do cold maceration in stainless steel tank on fine lees just to keep that extra creaminess with the wine, and we filter and then we bottle. You've got that very sort of citrus grapefruit element coming from the Sauvignon. You've got this very zesty aspect to it. I mean, it's just like super vibrant. You've got all these hints of like little zesty note and the citrus coming through. And you've got the Vermentino as well that sort of add this sort of apricoty feeling to it. Just a lovely round texture, so completely different from the mainstream 100% Sauvignon Blanc that you could find possibly everywhere else. The Sauvignon really brings that sort of acidity that you will want to have to get your freshness into the wine. And then you've got the Vermentino that comes and add these little delicate white flower notes. You've got this like rounded, creamy texture to it. It just makes like a really, really interesting white wine. So sometimes when you will find like neutral profile, this actually brings it to another level. So again, IGP Sauvignon Blanc Vermentino, and it just go perfectly with anything. So in terms of food, because I've said earlier, it's a really like foodie range. This will go perfectly with the pad thai, with pakora, just with like, you know, grilled chicken salad. This is really an all-rounder. So I've got a confession to make. This is probably my favorite white French wine of our whole portfolio. The reason behind it is actually, so southwest, it's coming from the southwest. It's 100% Chardonnay coming from Gascony, because we were just looking at that sort of concentration that I mentioned earlier. So Les Oliviers is really all about that character and that concentration in the wine. We couldn't get that in IGP and the Languedoc area. So Samantha decided to go and explore one of her favorite regions, which was Gascony, and the result is absolutely outstanding. The climate gives us that sort of super vibrant, refreshing acidity. On the nose, I mean, it's just like an explosion of tropical fruit. You've got almost this like candied pineapple element to it. And then on the tasting profile, I mean, it's just brilliant. It's extremely zingy, so you've got all these like little notes of tropical fruit. You've got, again, the pineapple coming through. It's extremely vibrant, it's super sharp, it's a very precise execution of a Chardonnay from Gascony, and I think it will go perfectly well with the rest of the range. It really has such a different character to it. Food-wise, it's actually screaming for cream pasta with mushroom, something to really cut through the acidity, and again, works really well as a pair. IGP Hoc Rosé is an absolute classic, and we're working off a combination of 70% Grenache and 30% Cinsault, so quite a decent amount of Cinsault that we added to the wine. So this is a classic rosé de press, so we just gently press the Grenache and the Cinsault, and then we blend them together, because what we want here, we're not gonna lie, we just want fruit, acidity and freshness, the holy trinity. So in terms of style, we still want that fruitiness, but the Cinsault is going to tone down this sort of extremely sunny and fruity Grenache that you can get from the wine. So on the nose, it's very soft. You've got some light notes of grapefruit. You've got a little bit of strawberry coming through. And then when you taste, it's just a perfect rosé to be enjoying in the summer. You've got this almost like soft and tangy acidity as well that come through. You've got this sort of like strawberry notes. Again, like extremely simple. In terms of pairing, you have different options here. You can do it with salmon. You can have a little goat cheese tart to go with it. This will go extremely well with red mullet and some roasted fennel as well. Now we're moving on to red wines, and our first one is a 100% Grenache, 100% juicy, 40 years old vine from silt and limestone soil. There is a lot going on with this Grenache because of obviously the climate. You've got loads of sun, so what we're getting here is just a fruit bomb. There is this sort of bramble element to it. You've got a hint of licorice coming through as well. It's a really ripe basket of red fruits going on here. It's just great. It has like a lot of texture. It's extremely ripe red fruits. You've got a bit of raspberry going on, a bit of bramble. Like I said again, that licorice is coming back, a hint of spice. The freshness is quite amazing when you consider the temperatures that are going on in the south of France. And in terms of pairing, highly recommend something tomato-based with this one, because you've got that sort of almost sweetiness going on with it. So maybe some Provençal tomatoes. Why am I saying tomatoes? I'm not American. It's tomatoes. Maybe a pork roast with some caramelized onion. Yummy, I'm sold. And we are finishing Les Oliviers presentation with an outstanding Merlot with a twist. So on this one, it's a blend of 80% Merlot and 20% Mourvèdre. In terms of winemaking, we kept it, again, extremely simple, because you will see when you taste, it's just fruit driven. The grapes are destemmed, and then we do cold maceration just to extract a lot of fruit from the Merlot, a little bit of spice from the Mourvèdre, and then we do cold fermentation again, just keep it cold the whole time, just to get as much fruit as possible. In terms of taste profile, there is just, again, a lot going on here. So you've got this damson fruit, there is a sort of almost like violet tone coming from it. It's an invitation to just taste it. So without further ado, I mean, just yummy. The Merlot is bringing that sort of like plum element. You've got the violet, you've got a little bit of licorice, and then the Mourvèdre just come and brings that backbone to the wine. Because with Merlot, we wanted to extract that fruitiness, but we also wanted to give a lovely structure to the wine. Just sort of lovely tannins at the end as well. They really keep the wine going. And this is just calling for a great steak, potentially a pizza with some salami on it. So yeah, just obviously anything with a bit of spice as well. So why not even throwing some vegetarian option with some honey glazed roasted carrots and a bit of rosemary. Sold. So this was Les Oliviers range. I hope you enjoyed the wines as much as I did. If you have more questions on the wine, do not hesitate to get in touch with your account manager.